All right, Panther Lair, let's talk about my early impressions of Zack Austin in Pitt's win over NC A&T on Monday night in their season opener. Now, other than Federico, who needs another player to get him the ball in order to be productive offensively, at least in terms of actual point production, Zack Austin would be the other starter who is effective without having the ball in their hands. So while the other guys are all good spot shooters, so I think they bring value that way, I think Austin can still impact this game. Slashing, he doesn't need to control the ball, doesn't need to be involved in any kind of ball screens in order to kind of get his. So there's two clips for me to show that. But the first clip here is a defensive clip. And if you've been watching these videos consecutively based on reading the article, then you know that I highlighted I think Zack Austin and Will Jeffers are going to be very effective in the low man position when they're defending against that, the weak side help, lowest guy closest to the basket, defending against strong side action. I think they're going to be much better in that role than Greg Elliott, again, for reasons I already talked about. But I also think that Austin has a chance to be really good help defender at the nail and in stunts that didn't always come through in this first game. And I think a part of that is maybe he wasn't asked to do that at high point, but he's such a good athlete. He can cover a lot of ground, and he certainly has a decent enough wingspan to defend along the perimeter that I think we're going to go see those things evolve. But we're just going to highlight another one of his plays here on the back line. So this just starts out as a pretty simple drive. Now, Federico defending on the perimeter is interesting. I think just because the Aggies had such a small lineup, but there were times where Federico was mostly on a guard. Does a decent enough job staying with his man. But what happens here is this little pocket pass does free his assignment to get a look at the basket. I'm kind of surprised he didn't step out of bounds here. But Austin, again, he's kind of the last line of defense, weak side, and he just goes up with two hands and blocks the shot. I mean, this kind of just really demonstrates the athleticism that Austin is able to apply. And once he gets comfortable in what's being asked of him defensively and offensively, I think he's just going to continue to blossom. So next play here, this is at the very end of the first half where we know that he throws down this alley-oop in transition off Hinson. But, I mean, if you look where he takes off from, I mean, this is a good several feet out of the restricted circle. He kind of has to go back to get this initially. I mean, he ends up catching it, but his body position, I think when you watch this live, let's kind of maybe move this back here, and I'll just let this whole clip play out. The way he goes up to get this isn't kind of the front of the rim. He has to turn just enough to get it. I mean, he's just such a really good athlete. Again, I think we're going to see him apply this all season. And then lastly, Bob, who had a great game, finds him in transition here. And I just really like the poise. So he could take this three. The shot fake frees him. He has the baseline completely free. And again, shows off the hops and athleticism. I mean, this is somebody that can be an effective slasher for Pitt all season long. His shot looks a little bit unorthodox, so I don't know if he's going to be able to take advantage of knocking down threes with the same consistency as the other players, although he was an effective player at high point, so I don't want to dismiss that. But we do know that the Panthers and every team really needs to have a couple players that don't need to have the ball in their hands in order to contribute. Austin looks to be that piece. I think he's going to be a big-time defender, really kind of shore up that back line of the defense from a weak side help perspective, and I think he's going to continue to grow into his offensive role.